Hi, thanks for stopping by. I've always wanted to have a go at metal casting, and these tools will let me try it out for less than 20 quid. Let me show you how. Welcome to the not so clean room of the Tinker Space. I'm using this electronic solder pot and coffee measure. I could have bought one with a spout, but they typically include a rolled edge, which would stop me getting to the bottom of the pot. Over at the bandsaw I took a scrap of 2x4 and cut a V-shape into it. Then, with an old screwdriver and my trusty hammer, I formed the steel of the spoon into a point. That was the only mod I had to make to this equipment. Take care if you're buying one of these solder pots. Make sure you buy a plug that fits into your power points. I had this power adapter left over from when I was teaching for BlackBerry and travelling across Europe. Luckily it happened to have the right slots I needed and I was in business. This pot is designed to maintain a melted puddle of solder into which you can dip components if you need to do a lot of soldering in one go. Solder melts at around 180 degrees C. This is the lower end of the temperature range of this pot, which operates between 2 and 450 degrees C. Conveniently, pewter, the stuff that a lot of metal miniatures is made from, also has a similar melting point of around 200 degrees. Now instead of buying bars of pewter, I went for these pewter grains. There's 200 grams of the stuff in this bag. So with the pot turned on and the heat set at 50%, I dropped in the first piece. This segment is condensed from the 10 minutes it took to realise that I needed slightly more heat to melt the metal. And with that, the first test was completed. It will melt. Now to make a bigger puddle. I ended up dropping in about half the bag of grains into the pot and got a nice amount of melt going on. You can see that dross was forming, and that may have been because I had the heat up too high, or maybe there were impurities in the grains I bought. I'm not sure. And the next step was to try casting. I wanted something small to cast. The pot isn't that big, and the spoon doesn't hold that much for one pull. My first thought was Lego. I've got kilos of the stuff here, and I can certainly spare one piece for a test. For my first pour I created a rudimentary mould from plasticine, just to see how bad a choice it would be. I was impressed to see that the plasticine didn't disintegrate when the molten pewter hit it. But after it had cooled, I saw that you really shouldn't use it for mould making. You can see that the result is not well defined, and the whole piece has a bow to it. I ended up going to the hobby store and picking up a 2-part RTV room temperature vulcanizing silicone putty. This stuff you mix in your hands, in about equal amounts, for around a minute until you get an even colour. You then have 5 minutes of working time before it starts to set. When I built my SLA printer a few years ago, I made a TARDIS figure from green maker juice. It's a great size with nice definition to it. So I wrapped the putty around it and set it aside for 10 minutes. I took a craft knife to the putty and made a zigzag pattern to make sure that the edge would go back together. And I was really pleased the figure came out of the mould so easily. To cast this, I would need something to hold it together without tipping over. So I put the figure back in the mould for strength and wrapped it in plasticine for weight. I then took a piece of plastic wrap to protect an egg cup and pressed the whole thing into it. A completely Heath Robinson solution. Once I knew it would fit, I took a knife to the plasticine and freed the resin TARDIS. And reassembled the mould back into its egg cup container. Then it was time to pour. I left it to cool for a while and then pulled the casting from the mould. As first attempts go, it wasn't bad. Nowhere near a perfect pour, and I can see some areas where the pewter didn't fill the mould. I think I need to allow more channels for metal to run into, which can be cut off and polished out later, and maybe some vents to allow air to run out. But for now, to tidy up the base, I took it over to the bandsaw and evened it out. So here they are, side by side, resin and pewter TARDISes. Or is that TARDISi? One final thing, if you're wondering how to get the pewter back out of the pot, just turn it off and let it cool naturally. Assuming you've not damaged the interior surface of the pot, the metal will shrink back and will just drop out. If you'd like to have a go yourself, I'll leave a link to where you can buy the components in the description below. If you've got your own tips on metal casting, or there's something you'd like to say on this video, please leave me a comment. If you're not already a subscriber to this channel, don't forget to hit that button and ring the bell to be notified when I upload new content. But that's it for this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.